The inventor of the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, was the first person to say hello into a phone line. Somebody suggested that he say ahoy. He chose hello because he did not know what the other person or the other end of the phone would be thinking. We film these shows in the day, but you might be watching it in the night or the morning or the evening. There's still no protocol as to what to say, so I'll just say hello. Welcome to Plain Talk. I am joined today by a round table of senior PEP members. We are going to have a very serious discussion, a roundtable discussion on the absolute necessity for political change through policy direction in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, it's that serious when we come back. And we're back. And getting right into the meat, joining me in studio on this round table with four corners, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Phillip.
Hello, Trinidad and Tobago.
Deputy Political Leader, my wingman, Tony Defoe.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago.
Our other Deputy Political Leader, Lema McLeod Wilkinson.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
And co-chair of the Youth Arm, Akila Bermudez.
Hey, guys.
So, this is about the 5th episode of Plain Talk. They're accustomed to seeing some high-powered members of society weigh in on topics. But let's not forget, Plain Talk is about the strength of this movement for change to bring people outside of the political spectrum to elevate the narrative, which, judging by all the news we've done in spades, a lot of things taking place in the country. And if I were to throw something on the table to get us worked up and start the conversation, would be still the media blackout against the Progressive Empowerment Party. The Newsday carried a brief article of us and our launch, our meeting. I call it a launch because they call it a launch. Our meeting on the Kweze in Samoa, and PEP members were happy to see us being mentioned in media in the most pedestrian of fashions, because this is supposed to be natural. If you're a political party having a public meeting every week as we are, we should be accustomed to seeing a reporting on that. And we're not. And the question I want to ask, because I raised it in my contribution in Samoa, is the media doing a disservice to the people of Trinidad and Tobago by this action, this deliberate blocking of the Progressive Empowerment Party from national airwaves, from print media? Are they doing the people a disservice?
Of course,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost a rhetorical question, because whether or not the media, and I mean, I was going to say whether or not the media supports the Progressive Empowerment Party, which should not even be, it should not even enter the discussion of who they support or who they don't
Yes,
support,
that,
because a
yeah.
media entity is supposed to be unbiased, as the BBC showed us in their recent report.
Oh, the statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's
But-
put a statement in the conversation, huh?
But while you look for it, I mean, definitely they should have and engage in unbiased reporting. And like I said, whether or not they support the Progressive Empowerment Party, the truth is that they have stifled a lot of information that we have put out into the public space. Just this Sunday, I had to call Phillip and ask him, what are you doing in a drain? Because he was there filming an idea of how we as Trinbagonians can not only solve the problem of flooding, but as well as solve the problem of drought in this country, which is something that I'm listening and we experienced today, heavy rainfalls. And the first thing people were wondering is it going to flood? And I heard it did in some areas.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is it's flooding, but you open your taps and you have no water. We have been putting out solutions. We have been bringing a lot of very personal information in the public space that a lot of ministers and people in public are taking and regurgitating and packaging in their own words. But the media itself has blocked a lot of what we have put out there, which I think are ingenious ideas and solutions for fixing and advancing this country. So like I say, whether or not you support the Progressive Empowerment Party, it's unfair and it's wrong that the public does not have access to this information.
But should they have to support or not support to decide what they're broadcasting, Tony?
Well, I just want to follow up on what Felicia is saying. Aside from the information being stifled from what the Progressive Empowerment Party is putting forth, we're talking about just about all the information that they are supposed to be newsworthy, that they're supposed to do proper investigative reporting, to give proper information to the public. When have they done that in their history? When have they given the population unbiased information, the facts, following up on stories and taking it to the length and breadth? When have we had that, Philip? I mean, really and truly, look, we've had so many things happen throughout our history as an independent nation. Having media, mainstream media, that, again, like you keep saying, we've said it to the public before, you know, the license that they use is the people's license. And the thing is that their whole purpose is to be able to give that information, whatever it may be, good, bad, and indifferent, the length and breadth, in fine to detail. Look, today we had to see the BBC give information on an international level on Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela and the situation that we're dealing with here with the immigration problem. Our media, none of the media houses, except for PEP Media, was able to put...
Nice plug for Pep Media.
No, but it's real.
I absolutely love it.
No, but it's real, man.
No, I mean,
it's
yeah.
absolutely real, because that's the whole purpose PEP is here. That's why all of us are sitting at this table, is because...
No, you're right. The conversation has changed indelibly.
Yeah.
I hear our words in everybody. I heard our words in the Chief Justice speech when he lashed back at his detractors, especially the media. And the media are going to lament that they are becoming everybody's favorite whipping boy. But like the High Commissioner to London just had to tell our Prime Minister, who went to complain on the BBC. This is the High Commissioner of London to Trinidad putting out a media release internationally. The government have brought to my attention, the government of Trinidad and Tobago have brought to my attention a BBC documentary on Venezuelan migrants. As I have said, now anytime somebody have to tell you in a conversation, as I have said, it means you're not listening.
Yeah.
The information that you're seeking is already out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to come back to me.
Right.
I've said this before. The UK's commitment to freedom of expression, again, the fact that he put that in there, that the UK has a commitment to freedom of expression, obviously we don't understand what that means.
Correct.
As I have said, the UK's commitment to freedom of expression means that the UK media, including the BBC, are independent of the UK government. That was put out by Tim Stew. Tim Stew is the High Commissioner of London to Trinidad and Tobago. And when you have to say in a media release,
That's embarrassing.
I've said this before,
Yeah.
that the government of England, Britain, UK, we cannot dictate to the media the way you do. Our media are independent to publish. In fact, there was a famous statement made by a publisher who was told that to publish a certain story would result in him either losing his job or control of the media. And he said, publish and be damned. Media is a calling, it's sacrosanct, it's like teaching, journalism. I've said this forever. We use the word, we use the phrase journalistic ethics in Trinidad and Tobago as the punchline of a joke. Ethics in journalism cannot be divorced. From the moment you remove ethics from journalism, it stops being journalism and it starts to be something more like public relations.
Yeah.
Propaganda as it relates to our media.
No, but seriously, and you could say it with conviction. You've experienced it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You've experienced it yourself, and the point remains, I don't want to dwell on it, but of all the important things, Trinidad and Tobago reminds me, don't laugh at me, but last night I was making pasta, and I was in a hurry, and I grabbed the pot. Now my pot comes with a colander built in, and I grabbed the pot and I put it to full, and then I waiting for it to full, and like the meme that people always share with a fella fulling a clothes basket, I realized I waited on the colander to full. But Trinidad reminds me of a place that has so many holes that need plugging.
Mm-hmm.
But media is an important hole.
Yes.
Because if media was holding public officials' feet to the fire, public officials wouldn't be getting away with what they get away with.
That's right. But that is one of the main roles of media, to scrutinize everything, to let the people know, the people you're putting into office to seek your best interests, we have to scrutinize every step of the way. We have to ask the questions, and they must have a level of answering to the people.
I
You
don't
can't.
think that they would ever do that.
No, but
We've
Scrutinize the two parties and stuff like that, and actually bring.
but you're assuming that they have that as a function. When the media last week made the top story, did Kamala warn Mali? That was the PNM. You see, right now, what's going on in politics of Trinidad and Tobago is the politics of racial divisiveness is broken. You still have your racist sycophants, but they're small in number. They're loud, they're vocal, but it's like having 5 potong in your yard. They will make a lot of noise, but that's about it. The truth of the matter is, we are at a situation now where every single poll, in fact, NACTA was fired. The PNM, who have been using NACTA to laud their performance in government, NACTA has run out of ways to hide the fact that the public want nothing to do with the PNM or the UNC. PNM went and hired Nigel Henry. Rafiq Shah wrote in his Express column they might fire him. Rafiq Shah wrote in his Express column this week that he could not believe how racist, and you raised it, how racist that Nigel Henry poll was.
Yeah.
How Trinidadians of African descent view this, and how Trinidadians of Indian descent view this. Now, how the hell is that not sedition?
And how about when they went on to the station and the host said, well, PNM is black and UNC is Indian, so where does PEP lie? It's like, what?
That's the
That's
narrative.
on the line.
That's the
Point.
narrative. That's the
It's
narrative.
not-
And they hate the fact that the Progressive Empowerment Party not only has rubbished that concept, but that we could stand up to it and fight it.
Yeah.
Because if you shine lights on cockroaches, cockroaches run.
Yeah.
If you ask a man, if you are only voting for somebody because you black and he black, or you white and he white, you're a racist.
Yes.
You're not engaged in politics.
At all, yeah. It is.
This is racism. And if your prime minister who told the same media that we're not doing away with the Sedition Act because we needed to keep peace among the races, and you as a political movement are the ones sowing the discord among the races, come on, miss me with the bullshit.
Yeah.
Miss me with it now. Because Nigel Henry's poll, according to Keith Rowley's own definition, is sedition. Why would Trinidadians want to be divided by a political pool? Why? How does that help anybody?
It doesn't help anybody, and there's a large portion of the population that just doesn't have a clue as to that fact.
And well, I think now that we think that we need to see our own kind like in power and have control. Like an Indian needs to see an Indian in power, and a black needs to see a black in power, and
But that's just the sycophants, really, because when you talk to the people who fed up of that, they will say all of it is nonsense. I just want somebody who will get me the things I need to get. I need food. I need proper health.
So what are you going to say about PEP when our deputy political leader is mixed and you're half 1%?
Well, they shouldn't have a problem with me because I'm literally a Douglas, half Indian,
Yes.
half African.
Yeah,
so come on.
which
Does
base you going
this
to
one's
base it
different.
down?
No. They hate you.
Yeah.
You would think.
I'm an abomination.
And female.
Yeah.
I ain't going on
That's
that.
our next issue.
Let's not go down
I'm not
that road.
taking that. Baby.
Yeah, but
Show you something, right? The same media will take a direction from the government, make the story about Kamala and if she tell Marlene. It's all over the media and at the top of every story, but I'm not hearing a single person talk about that. So the media trying to push that down people's throats. I want to show you how the PNM and the UNC and their political machinery have failed to manage the narrative. Because managing the narrative, they used to do that before there was a social media, where they would send out editors with talking points. This is where we want the national conversation to lean.
Yeah.
So you lean it so, and they will take it from there and go. Water cooler gossip and over the fence, and people will spread it, bam, bam, bam. Social media has undone that. The advent of the Progressive Empowerment Party and our unwillingness to tolerate nonsense has empowered people.
Yeah.
People are now standing up. So the Marlene, who tell Marlene, people tell them, miss us with that, we don't want to hear about that. Now, last night, you see they're going to entrench the racism and the media. The media have a role to play in the racist division of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm sure this, right? Kate Rowley's nasty comment about Kamala being a yard foul suffering from PIP, right? I don't want to talk about how to bring it up because of this. Its only purpose is to make people of East Indian descent react. And when East Indian people react, because of how political conversations could get heated, they're going to overcorrect. And now people of African descent who not happy with what Keith Rowley said are going to react to what these people have said.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going to create a racist division just by that. And I want Trinidadians to understand that this is an intention.
Yeah.
I went on there are groups on social media that I do not join. When members come to tell me so and so saying so and so, I say go and see what the group is about. Check and see how many members they have and who are those members. Because generally you could tell the tone and the reason and the agenda of a thing, and if you need to be responding. Somebody tagged me in a post by a guy. Now it's supposed to be a guy because a man's name on a profile, and obviously they've used a black man's face, looking like this is his profile. His post on this wall is one of them, those, you know, they have these true Trini groups that is just for bacchanal.
Yeah.
His post, this is his post out of the blue. Love me like how Indian people is kill one another for land. Now, that is what you call an incendiary post.
Beating the people.
Everybody baited now. Now they look at a black face and they look at that comment
Right.
and they gonna push back. I click his profile. It's not real. This is not a real person. This image is not who is making this post.
Right.
The person who's making this post working for those who want Trinidad and Tobago at election time,
Divided.
not just divided, distracted, arguing about racism, fighting one another racially, to the point where everybody up to their necks in flood water, but they have no water in their tap, as Felicia say, but you're fighting one another over issues that you could just ignore.
Yeah.
Because, and I have gotten to that point, and the day we stopped answering our political attackers, all the attacks just collapsed. Because we stopped taking it on. And we said to our members, Progressive Empowerment Party members, step back. Do not engage. Let them talk. Because the purpose of the trolls and the fake profiles is to create that antagonism.
And to get likes and comments. And
Yeah.
But they're not getting it unless we jump in, which we're ignoring. Right?
And that's the point.
Yeah.
So if the Progressive Empowerment Party could demonstrate that we're not taking it on, so we're like, talk your talk.
But Philip, I want to bring back the the conversation to the media, because what you just said there, that is information that I think Trinidad and Trinbagonians need. We need to know that we should not take the bait that there are people out here deliberately trying to divide us. Instead, you have a media actually partaking and encouraging and making these situations.
Why would the Express write that pip story? Why would it be top story? Rowley calling Kamala a yard foul suffering from pip.
Distraction from the HDCSU or
I have no problem, but I'm saying that real media would have challenged him on it. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but we don't have real media. Maybe we should get BBC to come and do a story.
If Fox News and MSN had to deal with our political jammets,
Why they'll have
They'll
a
have a
field
field
day.
day, yes.
Saturday Night
Yes.
Live will never have a issue to not make a story about.
Most definitely.
Yeah, they that would be the new Hollywood.
Yeah.
They'll probably call it Trinidad.
I remember earlier this year, Phillip and we made I believe it was number 9. We were number 9 on the list of most corrupted or countries with the highest levels of corruption. I think we had actually climbed
I
the
tell you,
ladder. We were right behind or right in front of Syria.
we're supposed to be number 1, but we corrupt even that
We
list.
corrupt the list.
Yeah.
No, but I remember something very distinctive in that report. I remember because this is when we used to do the radio show, and I remember reading it that countries with high levels of corruption like that, one of the traits that they have is a weak media and a media that is unable to challenge the political dictatorship that is residing. And to see where we were in relation to countries like Syria and countries that are war torn and stuff right now is scary, because these are countries that are literally going through wars, and you would expect that the corruption would be so high, and people always ask, things okay in Trinidad, but you have to wonder if we are making lists and breaking records like that, where and how soon could we be headed to where they are? And I don't want to call things like civil war. I don't want to do that.
If you're bubbling rice and peas in a pot, at some point you're going to end up with a paler.
Exactly. And that is what I feel, and understanding that our media plays such a huge function in keeping government.
So just introduce this cat among the pigeons. Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association, the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, the Progressive Empowerment Party has a case. This Friday gone, I was on with Fazir, and he admitted again that the media is blocking PEP. Stefan Rees on Synergy TV, he got angry, and he said, no matter what you think, media shouldn't be doing. We have evidence now. We have evidence from inside the belly of the beast. When we go to TV6 or any of these stations, the people who work there, the actual people, treat us like royalty. I mean, they treat us well. So I know it is not the average person working in TV6
A higher director
or Express that doing this. The Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago has a responsibility to tell its members that freedom of the press is built on freedom of expression.
But another thing, when Stark had this little get-together at the school that was deteriorating or whatever, he invited me to come, and I was there. And I actually spoke to one of the media personnels, but I know better with there, and I was really talking about PEP, like, I'm representing the Progressive Empowerment Party and everything. And when I saw the actual article that they wrote, there was nothing about PEP.
Nothing. No, but I want
So they carried the report to the newsroom and they edited out everything.
if they can't edit it, they'll misname it. They have tricks that they.
And I saw that in the article, and that's why, I didn't comment on it, but I was less than impressed by that Newsday half attempt at giving
The launch
us
of our local
and
government
giving us
election.
loaded
really,
with misinformation.
yes.
And no offense, Phillip, it wasn't the most flattering picture.
My mother loved it, so I happy.
And
My mother loved it, and I happy.
it was
with
an
it.
old picture, and then in the caption,
There is a
they
picture
call-
from 2012 in Joel D'Souza's launch.
This is 2019, honey.
That's what I'm saying.
But and then on top of that, in the caption they said People's Empowerment Party, and I look at all of those things,
all purpose
and
all purpose
exactly. So I would love to rejoice and say that the media gave us some media time, but I still don't believe that the real effort is there to get information and
There
truth
wasn't
out,
a
because
real
there was
effort.
too much
Yeah.
misinformation.
But
in
you
that
know what
story.
will be good though? You see, once we win elections,
Yeah.
and they have no choice but to come with their cameras. Hi, Mr. Prime Minister. How is that going to
Speak
be?
it into existence, baby.
Well, it's not going to be anyway. The fact is that you're going to have a political body in that parliament now that would ensure there's transparency, accountability, and everyone is able to do the job that they're there to
More
do.
importantly, and this is of extreme importance, despite the fact that the state funnels millions of dollars to the media to publish all kind of stupidness. I mean, they spend in advertising. Every ministry spends millions of dollars publishing lists and requests and ads.
Vacancies that they never
Right,
fill.
good. Besides, despite that fact, Sabga Media lost $11 million last year. If they lost $11 million last year, they're gonna lose about $20 million this year.
Yeah, if not more. Because the point is that the public, especially the business side of things, they understand that social media is a huge tool that they're able to use. There's not much of a cost factor, if any, using social media, because once your network is large enough, you don't even have to boost a post. You mail that out and you're hitting 5,000 people with one shot. If it's a page of sorts for a business model, you can have up to 150,000, if not more, 1 million people on that page. So the point is that
No, but listen, Direct TV 2 years ago, Bernard Pantin threw a hissy fit about social media, defending cable TV. And I told Bernard, I said, listen, cable TV is dying. We've gone in less than a decade from traditional broadcast TV to cable TV to view on demand. Right now. Content is king. The only thing that matters is your internet broadcast, your internet service provider.
But
You could choose to watch wherever you want on your TV,
look
wherever
at
you
the way-
want.
Look at how the tables have literally turned.
Turned.
Remember back in the
Yes.
day, you would release something on the big screen and then you get it on Netflix how many of months later. Now Netflix is actually, and
Current.
Hulu and a lot of the other, they're not only current, but they actually have their own
Well, Bruce,
debut and
at the end of this
movie
year,
studios.
when Disney launches, because Disney
gonna be-
owns
yeah.
Disney owns about 75% of all the TV and movie product that goes out there. I don't get sidetracked by that. What I'm saying is, you could get as angry as you want with social media. Social media is a boulder rolling down a hill.
yeah.
You have two choices: get out the way or get on board. But you can't stop it. I have listened to ostensibly intelligent people talking about taxing Facebook. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a mosquito in the middle of the road telling an elephant, "Hey, I have right of way."
I love that.
But that's
analogy.
real. That's a good analogy there. Really, really and truly, I am simply happy for the fact that we have a progressive empowerment party that has
Yes.
been able to push the envelope and put information into the public space, where it has not just only brought a lot of people aware and awake, but it also has pushed the envelope with invested interests, holders, seekers, however you want to call that body of people, that actually feels now that they can stand and talk, they can have their voices heard, which before we did not have an entity or anyone that was willing to stand up to the grain and face it head on. And again, thank God for you, Phillip, and your small group of people that
Never use the word small when you're referring to Philip. Satish has given me the signal from Master Control that we need to take a short break. So when we come back, I will finish lambasting Tony for
my small comment.
that small comment. We'll be back.
Toronto Peppers present the ultimate Back in Times party. on Saturday 21st September 2019, 6:30 p.m. to midnight at the Calypso Hut, 293 Queen Street East, Brampton, Ontario. Get your tickets now. Buffet dinner included for only $35. Main door prize valued at $300. Call the number on your screen of your closest location and book your tickets now. So put some pep in your step as we go back in times with the Toronto Peppers Ultimate Back in Times Party. Saturday 21st September, 6:30 p.m. until midnight at the Calypso Hut, Brampton, Ontario.
And if you catch them broken, you can get them all for nothing. Don't make a run.
Sale, sale, sale. For the month of May, Boddington and Associates Optical is offering free eye testing along with 50% off all frames and 30% off all lenses. Boddington and Associates Optical, located at number 17 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, and 11 McBean Road, Couva. Info line 671-5342. Call and book your free eye testing today. Boddington and Associates Optical, helping you see the way.
And we're back from that small break, short break. Tony, you with us?
Yes.
That I'm sure you saw the ad for the. We're coming back to what we were talking about, but that ad though for the Toronto Peppers, that event, I feel to jump on a plane, boy.
Well, there we go.
Feeling hot.
There we go.
Feeling hot. Yeah.
Go.
If you are anywhere close to the Toronto Peppers, get in touch with them. Kezia Rampal, Anthony Sinanan, Joan Sinanan, Errol Sita, I'll call some names.
Diane Saldana. That's one of the names.
I know. the Pep Toronto chapter, Pepto, is having a back in times party.
I don't know, it sounds like something for gas.
It's Pepto. Well, Pepto.
I like Pepto.
I like it actually. Pepto, yeah.
Pep and
Pepto Bismol?
Yeah, well, they're not a sponsor either. Anyway, so back to this. So yeah, if you're in Toronto or environs or planning to go, now is the time to go and link up Toronto Peppers to get your tickets for the Back in Times party.
Only 35 Canadian dollars, and you're getting meals with it. So go and enjoy and have a nice little back in time.
Sounds good.
Funky
Yeah.
session. Tony looks like he's gonna have
I feel that.
Yeah.
When it is Saturday, right?
This Saturday.
I wonder if they have any.
You have
I feel
responsibilities here, so negative.
I feel this issue of plain talk have the potential to descend into old talk. Let me pull it back, yeah?
Please do.
Because let's talk solutions.
Yep.
Before we left, before we took the break, I said that freedom of the press is predicated on freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Without freedom of speech and freedom of expression, you can't have a free press. So we need to look at, first of all, what constitutes media now. Because before, I remember I was a member of MAT for a while, and social media was treated as, well, we're allowing you into the room. But now social media is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and traditional media is shriveling up and dying. What is the purpose then of the conversation of a media association, a Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association? All of these things, whether or not they like it or not, their remit is fading because the industry they operate in is going away.
Well, at least the blueprint of that original industry. Point is that a lot of other agencies around the world, in most first world countries, they are using social media to their advantage, where they are incorporating their station or IDs within it. And again, the good part about social media is that you're getting news on demand,
that's what I
right
was
there,
about to say.
live,
It's
in
the-
your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no production as of
edits
sorts
and
or edits.
cut
You know what
and
I mean?
paste and
You know, a lot of the protocols is based on people like Benjamin Franklin. What Benjamin Franklin was before he got to be part of the United States independence movement in 1776. He was somebody, he was the original social media, and people like him, extra read all about it. They would get information hot off the press and literally print it and send it out there, hot off the press, and sell it for a nickel or small money,
whatever,
and spread information. Hucksters and hawkers would spread the information. That was the original social media. That grew into all of the formal structure that the Guardian and the Express consider themselves part of. But their roots, media didn't start off in an environment, in an organized environment. Media started off anti-establishment. It has always been, dictatorship requires control of information, you know. It has always been the intent of power to control the flow of information. So to hear people like Zabga and them talk about slowing down social media, it's insane.
But that says all.
That's
You
like
just said
saying
it.
dictatorship.
It says all.
There's technology right now that's about to beam internet services globally on laser. I mean, just now you would be able to buy your internet in Trinidad from a Chinese provider. You wouldn't even have to deal with Trinidad.
I can't wait for that.
No, but then you see, you would still have to deal with a Trinidad bank, I guess, to pay them. That's where they will control you, always with the money. So that's
They
the
might be able
last.
to do it online, credit card.
Yep, well, I mean, get an international credit card, I don't know. That's the last beachhead they control the money. I remember when we as a country, at the height of the retail apocalypse, we put a tax on online purchases when the rest of the world was freeing up
Encouraging.
and
And
encouraging.
then he went and put
online
another
sales.
tax on it. 7% he raised it. So you pay twice as much now to bring in stuff.
And they don't understand that trying to keep Trinidad in the dark ages is not helping anybody. It may be helping the fortunate few who live behind gates and barricades delude themselves into thinking that they're successful. But you're not successful. You're rigging the game. If you go to play a football game as 11 of you all on one side, one man on the next side, you score 22 goals and he only score one, his one is more important than your 22. Because you've rigged it. And we're allowing that to take place. I had to take the Prime Minister to task about the nonsense about why he needs the Sedition Act. He knows he needs the Sedition Act as a big stick. And he is a sock puppet to those who control his government. And they dictate. And there are questions that only the Progressive Empowerment Party asks. Questions like, this morning when the PSA media called me, I love the fact that there's a PSA media. I love the fact that there are so much new media growing, that's sprouting. And when you look at the numbers of people watching PSA media, and you go and look at the numbers watching traditional, is chalk and cheese. You know, so, and those numbers really matter. And one of the questions you asked me this morning is, how would you deal with crime in Trinidad and Tobago? I said, but you can't deal with crime if you don't secure the borders. You can't. Only the Progressive Empowerment Party is talking about the drug trade, the illegal drug trade, the illegal money trade that comes into Trinidad and Tobago, that corrupts our systems, that has built empires on nothing but washing money, washing dirty corruption, cocaine dollars. This is a country that has shipped hundreds of millions of dollars of cocaine to Spain, to Vietnam, to Norfolk, Virginia, to Canada. We found $600 million worth of cocaine on Monas Island and arrested a set of little boys from John Street in Cocorit and jailed them. If
They never linked the small black boy to the big fish. They never.
But closing the borders is a really big issue, and it goes back to the whole issue of media. And we must be crazy to think that Venezuelans not coming in here anymore. And they followed up the Buck story just last week, and we're not following up with the Venezuelan crisis because it's still happening. Venezuelans are still coming in, the borders are still not.
No, but I want to ask something.
And nobody's yelling.
I have a big following on Facebook. You don't notice some of those stories. I just don't touch them. I've never touched the Buck story. I've never touched the Kamala and Marlene story. I'm not touching them. And the only thing I had to say about the Pip story is what surprises me is that people still surprised about what comes out of that man's mouth. But you're right. That the media is playing a part in distracting and dumbing down the population.
They are responsible why Trinidadians only have that 7-day memory thing. Because they don't ever bring up the real issues, the real stories. That's why we forget things like Akil Chambers.
Yeah.
And
like Phillip always says, if I were the media, I would be asking every day, every week until that crime is solved.
But look how many missing females. Look, they found a female body today in the Caroni swamp.
I didn't know.
Yes.
They did. So
But
they don't even bring up these issues of missing people, dead people.
The 57
Nothing.
women that Dylan said were trafficked, the media ever asked them about that?
No.
Exactly.
And these are things that they're supposed to be constantly floating around and nothing.
That's why the, social media is so much better, because you see people posting all things. Oh, a fight just happened, and then you see 2 minutes later they post the update, and this is what's happening. This is this person profile, and you're like clicking until the whole issue is just closed, and it's like, okay, I feel satisfied now.
You know, Phillip, that question that the PSA media asked you, and to me, and that was what stuck in my head, that they asked you such a real, relevant and pertinent question to what is happening right now in Trinidad and Tobago. Like I said on Saturday at our, I almost call it a lunch myself. As I said on Saturday at our meeting in Sawa, crime is now a burning issue in Belmont and environs, and as a young woman you don't know when, because 5 o'clock in the evening, late in the night, you're not sure when it could happen, and why aren't we asking questions of our National Security Minister? What is your plan to secure the borders? How are you going to deal with crime and gang warfare in the communities? Why does it take a PSA media to ask the questions that the Express and the Newsday and the Guardian not asking? I saw a headline driving down on the 8th of September, and I'll never forget, because I was on my way down the island, and I saw this man holding up a paper with Rowley's head, and what did the caption say? Rowley leads in the polls or something, and I said, that is a newspaper I would never buy, because that is the rubbish that they're publishing and they're putting out there, when, like I said, questions like that, how are you going to deal with crime, how are you going to bring water to citizens 24/7, you're not being answered.
Robert Amar called me yesterday to say, I watched that video on the water, and that is quite possibly the most brilliant video I've seen so far. The issue has been addressed, how to trap flooding and turn it into water for consumption. Why nobody today, on the heels of that video Sunday, flood, right? And all of that water that caused all of that inconvenience to all of those people could have instead fallen into retention ponds all along the way. And nobody would be the wiser that 1 million gallons of water just flowed down Rapid Avenue into Wrightson Road, because it's in a retention pond now. And nobody in Woodbrook next week will turn on their tap and hear the hiss of an empty tap, because that same water has just been pumped back into the reservoir, channeled to their tap, treated and distributed.
You said when we were at Fizzy's show that said morning, you remember we stood outside on Independence Square, and you said, look down the road, tell me how far as I can see. We can trench this entire area, and you can hold millions of gallons of water, replace the promenade and all the streets, traffic running as normal, and it's a no-brainer idea, where you have an area where you have excessive water coming in that can hold the capacity, alleviate a level of flooding, as well as after the rains you're able to use that water, treat it and dispense it towards the population.
The engineering required to hold the water and the engineering required to use the water is not complex engineering. They've been doing this for thousands of years. In India, there are these cisterns that they've built. If you go on Google, step cisterns, they've built these ponds. They go down hundreds of feet. But because they fill and then they empty, they make them available for the public to use, and they've built steps that you could go down with elaborate ornamental design in the stonework. There's an amazing architectural, just to see, and even that. Japan built its underwater storm drain that holds retention water, like we're talking about. They built theirs architecturally. It could hold hundreds of millions of gallons of water, but it stays empty and is for use for the public. And if there's going to be bad weather, it's closed to the public, and water, when all the other systems are full, start sending water in there. And when the rain is over, it pumps it into wherever they want it, either out to see if they don't need it or back to their reservoirs. That system, from the cathedral to the Hyatt, as deep as you want to go, when you measure the width and the length of it. So let's say it's 1,000 feet by 50 feet, 50,000 square feet. That is the dimensions of it.
Right.
But every foot you go lower, it could be 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep like a pool, 4 feet, 100 feet deep. You get the cubic capacity of the system to hold water. So you know this is the cubic capacity of this retention pond. And you design it in such a way that at 50% full, it should trip on. If you don't have the luxury of being able to design it hydraulically, where the angle the water holds runs at a downhill slope to a sluice gate that you could forward to another, because between Port of Spain and Barataria, if you're driving behind Central Market, there's a lot of land there that nobody will use. It's just roads around it that you could sink permanent retention ponds. And you could have a system where when it gets to halfway, it trips on a pump. If it doesn't open a sluice gate for hydraulic, it could trip on a pump and keep itself from overflowing. So what it's doing in the first part is to trap all of the water that would normally flood the city. So it all wants to run down to Independence Square because there was a time the lighthouse was in the sea.
Right.
We've built up Independence Square and reclaimed that land, but Frederick Street and all those streets run downhill until you reach Independence Square, and it runs back up the other way facing the sea. And you have drains under the road, and people will say, if the tide is in, is a fact, water can't push the sea, no problem. But the fact that you know that when the tide is in, you can't let the water out, build a retention pond. So when the tide is out, open the pond. You don't have a pump for that, let the water out to sea. But this is a country that has drought. Our people don't have water generally. I mean, it is a madness of epic proportions that you could be trapped in a flood this morning in your house and can't come out, but your tap's dry.
You see what went on in Chaguanas yesterday, right? On the Chaguanas main road is almost a foot of water, if not more.
And your tap's dry.
And the tap's dry.
So you're trying to tell me they couldn't give Chaguanas its own system to trap, hold, treat, and distribute in Chaguanas?
Exactly.
You're trying to tell me that defeats them? I hear people telling me about how much degrees these people have. If you have degrees and you don't understand how to operate basic common sense things like this, what's the point of your degree?
Exactly.
There are people buying themselves education certification. Morgan Job used to call it a certification mill. That you're buying yourself degrees that mean nothing from a practical point of view. I said just now, let's talk solutions. When PSA called me this morning for the interview, she said, just ask me what you want. And I told her on the air, I said, that's how we train our Progressive Empowerment Party speakers. That they're supposed to be able to speak intelligently to any national issue and current affair. That they're supposed to be able to walk up to any podium and speak without aid, without paper and notes. Because if you cannot understand it so that you could explain it simply, you don't understand it. Einstein said that. If you don't understand it sufficiently so that you could explain it simply, you don't understand it. And Trinidadians understanding now what we mean when we say catch, hold, treat, distribute. When people want to argue to you and tell you the pipe's broken, yes, the pipes are broken. The pipes are broken and we could fix that. But the pipe's not causing the flooding. When people tell you, but the Prime Minister not causing the flood, no, he's not. And it's not God, it's nature and it's rain and his convections and heat and evaporation and condensation, it's all of that.
Blame the people for littering.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not the trash, but it is.
Yeah.
But the real issue is the government's job is to mitigate all of that.
Exactly.
It is the government's job to enforce the litter laws. It is the government's job to catch the water that's flooding. It is the government's job to hold, treat, and distribute that water. So nobody, I asked yesterday on Facebook, if a government could guarantee you water 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, what would you do with the space now occupied by a water tank in your yard? Because there are plenty people who half their yard is water tanks.
Enough room to put a little pool.
Yeah. I have
Little
6.
jacuzzi. That's
What?
my answer. I would have,
You have 6
yeah,
tanks.
that's what she said. I heard something.
Yes, I have 6 tanks.
We gonna
Okay.
yeah, put a little
Carry
small
on.
jacuzzi.
Let's not get distracted.
We get distracted so easy.
Easily. No.
But what I wanted to say when you mentioned that whole thing about degrees, though, Phillip, that solution that you did, and I think that had to be after your video that you did in on the foreshore, where you pointed out all the cars and you asked the question about foreign exchange. I think this blew that one out of the water for me, because it was simple physics. Forget degrees and what it was literally simple physics. I did that in Form 3 physics. When one beaker is full, it overflows into the next beaker. And when that beaker is full, it overflows. And it's so simple and so common sense that you wonder, why is it not being done?
But you know what is annoying me the most? When they travel and they go abroad and they say, oh my God, here is so this and so that. And we have a foreign affairs minister who go into everybody inauguration. But you can't bring back something.
And what's the purpose of all our
Like we building
ambassadors
malls,
and
like
people?
brand new malls in 2019 without mother and child change areas. Or father and child change areas.
No, but
like you literally have to
they're
hold your
busy
child,
ramming
like,
down
in
our
the
throat,
washroom.
stadium and
But
highway
all
and
of
all
those
kind of
points,
thing and nothing
I was
basic.
thinking just now when you asked that question, I was saying, you know, I could probably, if pressed, list 100 issues right now that the media should be asking questions about. I could list 100.
Yeah. Like
I am sure that if we started right now, you would just prompt your memory for things that you want. I mean, that the media should be concerned about.
the
99
one
out of
issue.
those 100 would be asking questions about missing people and murdered
Not only
people
that,
in
but
this country.
you find the zoo wanted to. Well, people talked about the zoo being relocated. They went and find this proposal for 40 acres, but you can't find the 40 acres for food, to grow food. Those are issues that we need to bring up, because you're taking same agricultural land to build mall and
We are the
plazas.
only country building retail shopping centers. No, it's dead.
I walked through Trinity Mall a week ago. I walked through Trinity Mall and it was a literal dead zone.
No, but,
Stores, you just seen brown people and
no, but we're small
Yeah, we're
running
small
out of
too.
ways to hide the fact that every other store is empty. They put these, I don't know what it cost them to put this stick-on picture
of what the mall
of
look
what
like
the
on the
mall
outside.
looks like, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So-
I saw that.
But every other store is empty. And
Yeah.
Wow.
And expensive.
And as she say, you walk into the stores, nobody in the stores. My father tell me, he say, you can have plenty of people in the mall, you know. If they don't have bags in their hand, they're there for the air conditioning.
Yes.
Or the food court.
I was about to say that, but I was like,
Body
no, I
food
don't want to.
You don't want to be the one. No, but I mean, I'm making notes as you're all saying things, and Felicia asked a question, but you said something right after. So I want to hit both. You said that we have ministers that go abroad, and I will never forget a minister of public utilities gushing to Hema Ramkissoon.
Oh yes, I know.
Gushing that he was in London
and
he opened his tap, and Hema, every time water came out.
And she's
I'm
like,
sure she giggled.
How is this man still?
No, wait,
Yes.
no, listen now. And I'm thinking to myself, this jackass is our Minister of Public Utilities.
This is it.
And representative for an area that has problems for
With water.
But he lives in a country. I said once that we get 10 times the water we consume. I just pull a number out of the air. But we get thousands of times. When you go on a hill, like today, when rain fall, right? And you just look down the hill and you watch water coming out into the sea. Once you have a view of the sea, watch all of the box drains and all of the rivers, what we call our concrete canals. You look out into the sea and you see all of the brown water. That's the topsoil that we're losing, right? So it colors it. And you're seeing, I looked down today at a balloon of water in the sea. I'm looking down on West Moorings, and the balloon of water that I'm seeing is about twice the size of West Moorings. Now that's just running down one drain. So if that water was held, treated, and distributed just for West Moorings, they could never not have water again.
Right.
Very true.
From one rainfall. You understand the point I'm trying to make? So when she said that these people go abroad, it's a fact. When he gushed to Hema, that every time he turned on the tap, water came out of it. And I mean, like sometimes like he was expecting Morby on some days, goldfish on another. I don't know what analogy to use, because they are so foolish in the things that they say. They don't realize that thinking people are listening to them.
Yeah.
If we have all of this water, because the average person, when we go, and I mean, the Progressive Empowerment Party meets with people at least once a week. There are times we meet with people more than once a week. But when you talk to the average person, unschooled, uneducated, no degrees, they tell you how to fix the country. You could literally walk around Trinidad and Tobago with a microphone and a clipboard. Tell me, what would you do to solve crime? And write it down. The average person will give you the solution. When I tell Trinidad and Tobago, 95% of the containers in the port of Port of Spain that come off the port leave Port of Spain. That's not me. I was told that. I was shown that. Trinidadians know how to fix everything in Trinidad. And instead of inviting them into the conversation, we dumb them down and we fool them with misinformation. We use media to tell them that the important conversation is the nonsense that the media broadcasts. Felicia asked, why is it not being done? And the simple answer to that is there are people who benefit from drought and flood, and they give money to political parties to leave things as they are. I remember the son of a PNM founder tell me, you solving too many problems for free. For free.
That is
when I solved the Diego Martin evening traffic, that's when that conversation came up, because he said you had to have gotten millions. I said, no, that was public service. He said, you're solving too many problems for free. That you're taking food out of people's mouth. That if we fix the water problem in Trinidad and Tobago, then bottled water will stop selling, and water tank and pump will stop selling, and water truck will stop being a massive industry. Water truck is a massive industry. I have 4 water truck suppliers on speed dial. Because when you need water, you need water. The same Sabga, his granddaughter called me to tell me, we need help. We have no water. They get water for them. The country is mismanaged to a ridiculous point now and all of these conversations have to draw the public in. You have to leave your race behind.
Yeah.
When you trap 5 o'clock in the morning in traffic caused by flood, your party card not getting you out.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
You wake up this morning, thunder and lightning, you turn on your shower and nothing. Go and bathe outside the rain. What's my charge?
They might.
Like their water.
But the thing though, there's never a shortage for these water companies, these bottled water companies.
Yeah, I was telling Anthony, remember when we were talking, I was like, if you want to get water, don't call and say you have no water. Call and be like, I have a fete this weekend.
No, but she's
And
right.
I want George is going to be there.
But she's right. How is it that I've never seen a headline, Dominic Hadid of Blue Waters complaining no water for Blue Waters? How come they don't have a problem?
Love that question.
How come? How come they don't have a problem to get water? How come the headline wasn't Shagarama's water park closed, no water? They have water to run water slides.
And what's the ironic thing with that, right? You don't see a single tank, but when you go Harry's, you see hundreds of tanks. So you know he uses tank water for his stuff. But when you go down in the west, you don't see any. And it's not salt water.
Where they getting the water from?
That is $1 million question.
And
Well said.
the size of the industry where water is concerned, and again, that's just water. But there are so many issues in Trinidad and Tobago.
It's stressful. It's like we only have 2 seasons since the dawn of time.
You
Like-
swear we doing this yesterday, eh?
Yeah, it's like, why is this a conversation?
We are 57 years old and we still have the same problems.
But we're not just 57 years old though. We're older than that. We've been operating as a country from since we've been a colony.
Right.
And I don't think we've had any upgrades to what the Queen built. This Port of Spain mayor is getting headlines and column inches for talking about the government is finally going to do away with latrines in Port of Spain.
I've never
In
seen that one.
2019, the man saying that.
But why would Port of Spain, the
Even
capital
care.
city of Trinidad and Tobago, have latrines?
Exactly,
And you know
exactly.
whose
Yes.
constituency that is? That is Port of Spain South, Laventille East or Laventille West. That's 2 people, 3 people.
Why would Port of Spain?
The one who went to London and opened his tap, and
Fitzgerald Hines, his purpose in the PNM to Rowley is the same purpose Rowley served to Manning. When you need to conveniently trot out a black face for optics to scream at the TV, Manning used to trot out Rowley. I have black people in my cabinet. Look,
Exactly.
bring out the
That's why-
Rottweiler. Rah, 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 rah. That's what Fitzgerald Hines' job is.
That's why he was the face of the whole decriminalizing marijuana bill. Why use him? Why not use somebody else? Why it have to be a black Rastafarian?
they could have used.
Well, he's not Rastafarian, but a Rasta guy.
They could have used Stewart's family.
I think she know more about marijuana than Fitzgerald Hines.
Exactly.
They asked this morning, what does the Progressive Empowerment Party think about our justice system? And again, I reiterated that we stand for speedy justice. That if we can't have speedy justice, we don't have justice.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have as guests 2 members of the Prisons Association to discuss what we're hearing now, the government taking pages straight out of the PEP playbook. And I don't mind. Somebody asked me, a member of Jericho Project, and we used to work together, building and fixing orphanages and things. You know, what would be nice for me is if they thief all the ideas, so you and I could go back to dealing with the, you know, the smaller, the people problems, because that's really the better part of the activism. The politics is not fun. Politics in Trinidad and Tobago is nasty.
It's mostly because our politicians are very immature and petty, and that's part of the way to divide us, because the African face for PNM and the Indian face for UNC, always at it.
Yeah.
So your sycophants will always be there, and bet your bottom dollar no sycophant is be sick on election day. They go in. granny go in with her,
But
her
So what if we
oxygen
had two
tank
of
and
the
everything.
same ethnicity for the both parties?
That'll never happen. You think what, an African person for UNC,
UNC,
and
or
a
an Indian person for
It
PNM?
can't happen
That
because they
wouldn't.
collapse. They'll collapse on the lie. It's like this, the analogy with the light and the cockroaches. If you turn on the light, the cockroaches run. The PNM and the UNC exist for one reason: get in your tribal section.
Oh yeah, it's the same 1%. Oh, I
Get
forgot,
in
I
your
forgot, I
tribal
forgot.
section. That's all it does. It divides the population from being able to focus on these issues. Because if Trinidadians and Tobagonians focus on fixing Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago fix. People have been coming to Tobago longer than people knew that there was a Trinidad. Tobago was one of the most fought over Caribbean territories in history. And they've been coming to Tobago for centuries. And we were left with the responsibility to link the two islands. And we can't do that yet.
57 years later.
More than,
You know?
but we still can't do that yet. And the only reason it could be is that if you fix it, they no longer could steal money.
Exactly. That's literally what I'm here thinking about. It's like, that's the only
And it's
reason.
obvious.
That's why they would give you, like, if they had all of this, they would have been like, let's choose one for this election.
No, but shock doctrine.
Let's just do one.
Shock doctrine is mommy down on the port crying with her 7 children who can't get to Tobago and they have school in the morning. So that you're thinking, just fix it. Bring somebody with a solution. How much? 100 billion for your boat? Buy it.
Yep.
That is shock doctrine. And they've done us that forever. But what Trinidadians need to realize is they need to stop being fools in this play.
Yeah.
This is a play. We are not the audience. We are the central character. We are the whipping boys. We are the people being used to justify our own poor quality of life. We're given the responsibility to stand up in this democracy, and instead of doing that, we allow ourselves to be marginalized and separated and divided and get caught up in the thick of little things. You think if Trinidadians stop buying into the racist bullshit, the PNM and the UNC could survive?
No.
No, they will collapse.
What do either of those parties, besides tribalism, what do they bring to the table?
Corruption.
No, but seriously, what do they bring? If they were to come to you as a thinking person for your vote,
Yeah.
what could they tell you that could justify it?
I'm waiting patiently because elections coming up and I can't wait to see.
Healthcare.
Can't
Public
say-
health.
But they can't say anything. They've been saying all of that.
Education, traffic. No. They've been using those words.
Right,
You've
right.
heard healthcare.
They've
You've
never
heard the
heard
word
the
education.
solutions.
You've heard the word traffic, but you've never heard solutions.
Right.
Traffic from south and east to Port of Spain is a reason for them to spend 567 million, more than $500 million on a study for a rapid rail. A study. $500 million we're talking about here.
When they
That's
could just
5,000
decentralize
houses.
all your government offices
Yeah.
and put everything online, mail,
Yeah.
whatever, and clear up that. Because a lot of the people coming from South and it's a lot of your public servants. You probably
250,000 of them.
Right, because majority of them live very far. So, and they all have to come into Port of Spain. They all have to get up very early. So, between a certain hour, that is when you have that heavy traffic flow.
Yeah.
Then, when you're throwing the port, then I suppose other services where they don't manage their human resources. So, you have people from South had to come Port of Spain, police service, or fire. You know, those different things. You have a man who had to go to relieve somebody,
No,
hospital
but-
staff. So,
But just government administration and services. Those things could have been created as small decentralized offices with an information counter, a kiosk,
Right.
and anybody that's
Yeah.
there for essential service. Because we're there now. We're there where you could renew your passport and renew your driver's permit online.
when you walk in government campus, it's empty, it's like a ghost town. And you have selected officers. So when you're walking through it, you're not really seeing the hustle and bustle that I suppose they were expecting. So it's like, what you build this big thing for and you don't have the people to put in it.
To steal money. To steal money. There are people in Trinidad and Tobago, businessmen, who all they do for a living is rent offices to the government. Rent offices and office buildings. That is the best of all the rackets. The Nahus family are big players. Faris in-laws, they're big players in that. That's how they make their money. And 1 and 3 Alexandra Place are examples of that, and examples of how far these people will go to get that gravy train.
And these are the questions the media is supposed to be asking.
Full circle.
So, I think this episode of Plain Talk has shown that there is much to be discussed where issues are concerned, and we need to keep bringing it back to this conversation and getting more people involved. I think we need to work on getting phone calls. You could imagine if we could take calls on this show and have people raise their issue on a day like today, when so many people have so many problems today.
It would have been interesting to hear how many people would have experienced flooding today based on the heavy rainfall that we had.
Yeah, the ones who didn't get water during that rainfall
And
in their
speak to the
times.
ones who didn't get rainfall.
You know, I mean, the woes of the citizens is just countless. You know, it's tiring to know
Yes,
everywhere
it is.
you turn
Is a problem.
is a problem. And you have people that we are paying as citizens taxes to a government for our well-being, for our betterment, but we as citizens are not seeing that, and yet we still choose to stay quiet. We still don't rally together and come together. I mean, really and truly, the whole racist, tribalistic politics and what's really happening on the ground is what's basically having us where we are. Because also, remember, we have generations being born into the system that knows nothing other. You know what I mean? That knows what you are talking about, Phillip, for the last 2.5 years. For a lot of citizens, this is a first time in their lives they're hearing this in this way, in a way, in layman terms, for them to understand. Whereas right now, the citizens are now actually awaking, having an idea as to what the laws are, where their benefit lies, and what systems are working from what systems aren't.
I want to tell you, after we opened the Diego Martin bypass, because it went, and it's like this, and this is what a progressive empowerment party government brings to the table. Because prior to the construction of the bypass, and it wasn't a big thing, it was just bypassing the 4 roads intersection. After that, there are people who used to spend 3 hours a day getting home in traffic. That by the time you get home, you're angry, you're full of rage, because people cutting in. I mean, 30,000-40,000 people trying to get into one little space in 3 hours. Traffic would back up from Wrightson Road and every side street in Woodbrook and St. James as people making up new ways to jump over the traffic. All behind Mount Coco Road by St. Finbar's Church, all of Westmoreland's roundabout jam up with traffic as people trying to get home. And in the days following the opening of it, I was wondering how these people feel now, leaving work at 4:30 and reaching home at 5, when they're accustomed to reaching home in the dark.
7 and 8.
Yeah, but they still need to consider themselves very lucky, because there are people who still now...
No, but I still want to talk about them. And I just want to make that point. Because all people understand that a progressive empowerment party government, this is what we bring to the table. Real solutions. So imagine if you're living nationally and anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago, and you have a government that comes to office and starts on multiples of fronts, decentralizing the offices out of Port of Spain, sending what could go to the cloud digitally, go to the cloud, deal with it online. Imagine we start to zone the schools, make all schools prestige schools, make sure that all our children get the same first world education, bring educators from Finland, the way Guyana is doing now. Guyana is listening and doing it. Jamaica is listening and doing it. You bring Finland administrators and let them help set up a system where not one child is left behind. So all of a sudden, because when school is opening back, everybody say brace for traffic. Because because mommy and daddy have to drop children, one in Chaguanas and one in Port of Spain. It don't make no sense. The system is foolish. And it fools you into thinking, well, I have a child in presentation, I have a child in holy name. Your child's school shouldn't be bling.
Yeah.
Your child's school should be functional wherever it is.
Correct.
Yeah? And imagine that you have a government in office that could immediately impact. You wake up in the morning, there's water in your taps. You jump in your car to get to work. You reach too early because there was no traffic. I mean, these are the solutions, these are the problems that we want to have. That people are saying, wait a minute, where was all the madness? What caused all of that? Why did we put up with all of that for so long?
True. Very true. And I cannot wait for that day to be a reality by 1.4 million
You click the
citizens.
TV and Hamer, they're saying, yes, there are actually 14 warships in the port. And apparently they're here to close the nation's borders. Drug trade done that day.
Yeah.
But you
Drug
sure she'll
trade
be the
done
one
that
carrying
day.
that, article?
Huh?
You sure she'll be the one carrying that article?
No, just say it, Fazir, I don't know, Kamal. But we're down here on the port. I'm seeing a ship from China, one from Israel, one from Japan, 2 from America, 4 from Canada. Yeah, I'm talking to the commander. What's the plan? We're going to shut the borders down. 3 miles out at sea. Nothing comes or goes without us checking. Trinidad is a narco state. We're going to build a maritime security wall from today. Drug trafficking, illegal guns, human trafficking, thing of the past. We're down on the port. They're dismantling the port. They're moving to new facilities in Point Lisas, 10 times the size, with unstuffing stations. 200. Doma, I would say it will slow things down. You could move 4 containers off the port now. We will give you the opportunity to move 200 at a time. But unstuff all. Leave the coke and the marijuana and the guns and whatever coming in those containers, leave it on the port.
Yeah.
Let us start to fix the country. Imagine 2 weeks later, the same bunch of reporters. We at Piaco, the FBI is there, as is New York City Police Department, Internal Affairs. They're going to clean up our corrupt systems of justice, our corrupt police
I
service.
think they should do that first before everybody continues.
Listen, we do everything, all of this.
Security.
360.
No, but
Yeah.
we do everything because, and I want Trinidadians to understand that all of these issues can be addressed simultaneously. That we're breaking ground and we're going to set a world record, that we're going to break ground, we're going to negotiate and break ground to build 7 marinas in Tobago with 7 international cruise lines to put cruise tourism on the map, to put Tobago on the map. Our goal is 1 million tourists by the end of our 2nd year in the government. All of a sudden, Tobagonians, forget the talk, Tobagonians are washed with money because they're coming off the boat to go and eat some callaloo, to eat some curry crab and dumpling.
Buy Benny Ball.
Yeah.
All the different sweets
Trinidad
and
and
the
Poo.
jerseys and all the little trinkets and chains and all those things.
No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm just saying, right now, my confidence is, it's really, it has to stand by the people. The job that we have is really a mountain that we have to climb, and the solution to the issues that we have to deal with on a national level, because we need the support of the people, is like you said, is educating the people, giving them the information in order for them to make better decisions. Because at this stage, we are not seeing the entirety of the population, which is 1.4, again, because of mainstream media blocking the message that PEP is trying to put forth to the population, is what is making our job a lot harder in getting that information to all the population. But again, I say let's just forge forward, and like you keep saying, Philip, if it's house to house, we have to knock and interact and engage each citizen, so be it. And
Remove the online taxes. Create incentives for the creation of couriers in Trinidad and Tobago so that you could sit down in your house and order your groceries online. Diversify the economy. Invite all those interested in being part of farming, like our PEP Farm
Farms, yes,
initiative, to get people to come and try to see if they could get involved in food and agriculture and food processing so that we could feed ourselves and start to export.
Right.
So that this best cocoa in the world thing that people keep talking about could stop being a concept and actually be something.
Be a reality, yes.
That we could invite the people who manufacture the pepper spray wherever they manufacture it, come and set up in Trinidad where the Moruga pepper growing. Because that's what they use the Moruga pepper for.
Correct.
Yeah.
And let us get to that place where all of a sudden you wake up, father, mother telling the child, watch me now, jobs all over the country, go and look for something and get yourself employed. Remove the Beetham landfill and build a large multi-purpose facility, industry, commercial zone, duty-free. Invite all of these companies that are looking for a place to manufacture. Our dollar is dirt. You could pay our people here big salaries and it's still, when you translate it from US, is nothing to them. And we are outside of the hurricane belt. Trinidad and Tobago could be a hub for manufacturers. Of course, if you bring Corona and Coors and Budweiser and Kirin and Heineken to Trinidad, of course it will close down Carib and Stag. But all of those workers will go and work for Budweiser and Coors because Carib and Stag, being the only beer in Trinidad and Tobago, don't benefit nobody. I want Guinness, manufacturing Guinness in Trinidad to ship to South America. And give them incentive to come and employ our people. 50,000 people across the Beetham, in Mova, Beetham, Lavantel, and Sea Lots that need jobs. Jobs is job one. Fire all of those ambassadors and high commissioners. Bring all of them back home. We only need 5. Africa, Europe, Asia, United Nations, and the Americas. That's all we need. And they have 2 jobs. Sell Trinidad to the world and bring investment to Trinidad. And if you can't do that, fire yourself for somebody else. All of a sudden, we need to get to a place where people see hope. Yes, this could happen. They're bringing 50,000 tourists into the country. I'm not going and buy a taxi. I must make money. You can have the grandest or the humblest life you want and still live well. Why can't that be our vision for Trinidad and Tobago? And why can't that be what we're voting for? Why can't this be the conversation that make it work, fix it? You are in public office, fix it. If our courts could only do 15 murder trials a year, but we have 500 murders a year, something not adding up. So if you arrest all 500, if Super Gary go and arrest all 500 murderers, this year, the court system collapse.
Because there's only 50 you could see.
So what is the media doing about that? 485 murderers will die in jail just for this year. And the truth of the matter is, until we can have those conversations, when the Chief Justice could say, as soon as we get funding, we will build courts. Courts are important. Courts are more important than Sinanan's highway to nowhere.
But when the UK had their riot or whatever, and they held people, they had the courts work on time, where shifts. So they work straight through the night.
Absolutely.
And stuff. So why you can't do that to bring up the
night court is
time?
a real thing.
So we could do that
Night
instead of
court is a
starting to
real
build
thing.
courts all
In
over.
Trinidad and Tobago, where children grow up with Lego, we don't know how simple it is to build something as small. Look how long they take to build one room in Riemann. Look how long it takes to build one teleconferencing court. How long they're working on that now? 10 years? 10 years?
And that could have been built.
Hundreds of millions of dollars spent by Amalgamated Security transporting prisoners for no reason. For none, except for the fact that the PNM and the UNC would carry on those contracts, but Aboud no Phillip Alexander will cancel it the day I come into office, and that we will put courts in the jails and next to the jails. But we want to be a country where, as we come to office, hope and opportunity becomes the hallmark of this country, and crime no longer is a choice. That we will make sure there is vinegar of a functional security apparatus and a functional court system, but there is the honey of social management that plans for all of the people. We can have a country that works.
Very true.
Trinidad and Tobago, on our little pissing 22 billion US GDP, that's supposed to be 400 billion GDP. Why is the Chamber of Commerce not talking about that? Busy protecting their turf. We do not have a country where leadership is happening anywhere. So the head of Downtown Owners Merchants Association said, don't unstuff the containers because you will slow down trade.
Madness.
Don't wreck on certain streets because you'll affect his business.
Madness.
If you decentralize Port of Spain, you see, this is what he don't want to hear.
Yeah.
This is what Doma will never support PEP, because the moment you decentralize all the offices of state out of Port of Spain that causing all the traffic, Port of Spain becomes a ghost town. And they don't want that. Because everybody is approaching Trinidad and Tobago. They sound like civic leaders. They talk like they have a vested interest in Trinidad and Tobago. But what they really care about is their little piece of the pie.
Very true. Very true. And if Doma had any sense, because they say that they're so educated and all these people have degrees and all this sort of tralala. At the end of the day, even if we were to decentralize the public sector, we place it in the center of the country. It allows us now to do greater marketing within the tourism sector. Like you were saying before, we could put 1,000 feet every day or every other day.
Million tourists in Tobago's target.
But not even in
Make that a
Tobago, right
target.
here in Trinidad, right in Port of Spain for the
Not
same.
only Port of Spain, you could switch it, have one in South so the boat could come up to Port
Correct,
of Spain
yes,
and
yes.
vice versa.
But when they started the water taxi, wasn't there supposed to be 30 ports around the country and you could hop on a water taxi in Port of Spain and go Chaguanas, then San Fernando, then
Right.
Toco? What happened to that? That was to fool us.
Well, if you talk about a room being built for 10 years, we think
They don't need no highway to Toco. You could use the water taxi, get to Toco, and from there take the ferry to Tobago, and everybody win.
Very true.
Why are we not doing that?
Very true.
Because they haven't thought about it. The degree is holding back the common sense. It's like in a fight, common sense must block. It must be blocked. It must.
I love that.
The degree in front.
Yeah.
Of
You
the
know,
common
the common
sense.
sense is saying we should do the fairy thing, but then the degree is like, why?
We
no.
need to spend 300 billion to have that.
You know, like this highway to Manzanilla. Nobody wants to go flying down Manzanilla stretch. You want to go because you want to enjoy the breeze, the scenery. You could have told me you're widening the road, putting a little shoulder or some kind of thing like that. But a highway? Why is there a need to a highway on that side?
That's costing what, 400 million?
Yeah.
Is what they quantify it to?
Yes.
And by the time it's actually done, that might go to a couple
But
billion.
the thing is,
dollars.
nobody actually following up to see what has been done so far, what's going on now.
Yeah.
But the citizens need to take a responsibility to see through the nonsense, though. Right?
Yeah.
What we
Yeah,
just said there about only hearing a certain number of court cases a year versus building a highway to nowhere. We need to weigh the pros and cons and see that a lot of the things that we invest money in and put money towards in this country is a waste of time. And being able to judge that for yourself, you can see where there's a clear purpose clearly to mismanage the funds of the public purse. And we, like I said, we need to take responsibility and speak out on these things, because just as much as we could say, you and I can say in this room that the road to Manzanilla is a waste of time, the average citizen should be able to say that too. They should be able to say that justice and time is more important. They should be able to say that education, prestige education for all, is more important. That better health care for them and their families is more important. We need to get citizens themselves need to start thinking more responsibly. You need to start thinking for the future. We need to, again.
Yeah, but then when you have no leadership discussing and showing you that that's how you're supposed to think, you wouldn't think. You have petty leaders, so the people are petty.
To an extent, I disagree. I still put a lot of the responsibility squarely on the shoulders of people. It's 2019. Social media is there, the internet, the World Wide Web is open for anybody. We compare a lot of things to us in America. I watched this post that you put out with the price of food versus in the States versus the price of food. And I watch people defend the fact that they pay more for things here than they pay in the States. I watch people defend the fact that our minimum wage is only $15 as compared to in the States where it's also $15 US. I watch people compare and fight down and justify a lot of the nonsense that happening. And I have to say, we are part of the reason why we are in this boat that we are in. Like Phillip said, we're not the audience, we're the players. And we are
but a lot
making
of
some
our
really
people
bad...
too don't travel, leave Trinidad and Tobago to see how well other countries are managed. If they see it, then they would like.
To that, I have to disagree, because we all know about the next $3,000 Jordan, and we all know about.
Yeah, but I just want to throw this: Jumbo, the Oval, and Lockjack.
what angle you're coming at.
But we've seen Trinidadians just saw that they blank Jumbo from selling peanuts. Trinidadians say, well, we will blank Sunshine Snacks and we will blank Oval on CPL. And everybody backpedal quick. So we've seen people power.
Yes.
We've seen it. Why aren't we using it at every step?
Yeah.
Why after that Jumbo incident people weren't like, because I remember as a child, once I get my way with my mom, I was like, okay, well, I am seeing
This
that
is the new normal.
yeah, I can do this again. Why after that Jumbo incident we were like, okay, yeah, Jumbo, and then we went back.
Because of the media.
Yeah.
And I want you to understand, because you just said you don't want to blame the people. And you need to know that the father of modern mind-bending marketing is a fellow called Bernays. And he is the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And his job was to come up with ways to fool and distract people. He's the author of many modern marketing and advertising techniques still used today that distracts people. Trinidadians don't understand on the level that they should, because their minds are enslaved. They literally, what Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Most of your problems are in your mind. Most of your problems have to do with how you perceive and engage the world. And again, I want to return to the Progressive Empowerment Party's mandate: inform, educate, empower. This studio that Satish Ramsaran and Baxter Cuthbert and the rest in Pep Media put together to create this show, Plain Talk, is our machete to cut through the propaganda, the thick overgrowth, the dense jungle of nonsense that people have to. The media who could ask today, bring a story. You talk about Akil Chambers, Lacey Peterson. You know that name? The whole of America was distracted by 9/11, and as soon as that boiled down, they gone back into all their cold cases and made sure that this girl in IAM, what's her name? Shannon Banfield. What's going on with Shannon Banfield case? What's going on with Asami? What's going on with that case?
All these things, and they just leaving it.
They dredge and drag this pretty little police officer. What's her name? Nyasha out at Sealots. What's going on with her case? Stephen Broadbridge was a guest on the show. His mother was killed. Her house burned down. What's going on with his case?
You should ask Gary.
Can that be the reason that crime is the way that it is too? Because you see that nobody actually get, persecuted or anything for their prosecuted for murders and killings and stuff like that. You never see anybody getting arrested for something, for a murder.
Well, that's why after all the years you find crime escalating more and more and more, because people are getting more.
This is the solution.
$1?
This is the solution. The day Trinidadians stand up and say, okay, see what we just do with Sunshine Snacks? Are doing this across the board. I ain't spending money on nothing. For a week, for a day, for 24 hours. Imagine if Trinidadians protested with their money. I'm not buying nothing. I ain't buying doubles. I ain't buying water. If I could walk, I walk in, I ain't putting no gas. All of a sudden, everybody get drawn into the conversation at every level of society. The business community has a say, but they're not saying, because we think that Trinidadians, when Coleman but say he raised the price of gas 4 times and they riot.
People have not riot.
Yeah.
We say they riot yet.
They anticipated.
It's not that they anticipate, it's that they're saying that Trinidadians are fools.
Yeah.
The government is saying that I could do them what I want. He went to the IMF as a Trinidadian to laugh at Trinidadians. He made a mockery and a joke of us. And by us, I'm not saying riot. I'm saying show them the power of the people. Show them in your purchasing. Show them in your labor. Show them in your voting. Our labor, our consumption, and our vote are that's the 3 ways we have to communicate power. Government has to do what the people want. And in countries where you look and you see that sometimes the people have to stand up every time.
Yellow vest movement.
Every time. Government has to pay attention to the people, because at some point the people are going to have a vote. And we need to get to there. And we need to come back to that on another episode of Plain Talk. This one was very interesting and very exciting. We touched on a lot of stuff. And before we wrap it up, closing comments, Felicia Holder.
My only closing comment is to again plug the Toronto Back in Times party happening this Saturday, the 21st of September at Calypso Hut in, Toronto, Brampton, Ontario, I believe. It starts at 6 p.m. Tickets are only 35 Canadian dollars. Meals are included. Go have fun, mingle with your PEP family, mingle with your international PEP family coming out of Toronto, and again support the growth of the Progressive Empowerment Party, because they, just like us, are doing this in support of this movement that we are undertaking. So if you can support that event this Saturday, you are in the area, you're in the environs, please take part in that. We also have our meeting in Kumana, Kumana is Toko Kumana. How do they say it? Anyway, it's in Kumana this Sunday, coming up at the Kumana Community Center from 4 p.m. Those who are asking when we are going to the east, come and meet us at that Kumana Community Center, because we will be having a public/cottage meeting for those in the area who want to know more and who have been asking when is PEP going to come to their area. So look out for the PEP team this Sunday, 4 p.m. Also, again, the Back in Times party in Toronto this Saturday, the 21st of September from 6 p.m. Contact any of the members from the Toronto chapter, Joan, Anthony Sinanan, Diane Saldana, Kezia Rampol. Any of them you can contact to get your tickets.
Yeah? Akila, closing comments.
Okay, every Saturday from 12 p.m. at Stanmore right here, the youth has their public meeting for the youths, and we discuss stuff like policies, plans, jobs, home ownership. And so you can contact us on Facebook at PEP Youth Arm, or you can contact us on WhatsApp 726-8106.
Limo.
Don't forget, we have PEP merchandise on sale, and we welcome all donations. Thank you.
So, wait. All the closing comments is selling.
Well, yeah. You sell the politics, we sell the party.
Tony, give me some closing comments.
Oh gosh, all right.
And if you sell anything, I climb over this thing.
I have some sandwiches to sell.
Ads. No plug in here, no free plugs. No free plugs.
I will do an ad. Satish, you'll help me with an ad, so I can officially have an ad on Play Talk.
I welcome that.
And samples.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. No.
That all right. The next episode of Plain Talk
will be brought to you by X when they provide this.
Right. But definitely, Lamar will bring some samples for you, right?
Thank you very
once
much.
again, Trinidad and Tobago, thank you so much for watching Plain Talk today with our own little internal roundtable, I should say. With executives and leaders throughout the arms of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And today it's Wednesday, 18th of September 2019. And again, it's Plain Talk. PEP policies is what we're talking about. And like Felicia said, Back in Times is happening up in Canada. Do not miss it. As well as Kumana, we coming up to you, East Side. It is very important that you attend. All the farmers up in Kumana and the Toko area, Matlot and so on. Make this a point to be there, because again, there's a lot of information that's going to be in the public space being presented at that meeting that would be in reference to you and your industry, as well as the community at large and citizens within that area. So certainly you want to be there. That's Sunday the 22nd of September. That's going to start at 4 p.m. and that's happening at the Kumana Community Center. And if you want any info on that more, you can actually contact info line would be 347-4PEP. So don't forget that, 347-4PEP. Make it happen, Trinidad and Tobago. So that's my 2 cents for now. It's been a great pleasure. Wonderful cast we had here today. Felicia, Keela, and Lima. I'll miss you again. I haven't seen you around for a while. I mean, where you hiding these days? Yeah? But anyway, it's all fun, and we're just human and normal people just like yourself. Again, we are just trying to save Trinidad and Tobago, not just for us, but for you. So, Phillip.
Right. SAWA's meeting. If you have not seen it, we had the entire thing broadcast live. The video is available on all the PEP walls. Take a look. It was pure fire in the Kwesi. The Progressive Empowerment Party is not the PNM. We don't want to be. The Progressive Empowerment Party is not the UNC. We don't want to be. I'm not blacker than Rowley. I'm not more Indian than Kamala. I'm not as ugly as Rowley. We have a different way to be, and we're going to be that. I want you to hear this message. All we are here to do is to empower you. That is the E in the PEP. We bring information that educates and elevates and opens minds and frees them. If you want a better country, not just for yourself, but for those that you love, because if you are tempted for 1 minute to vote as an idiot on race, look at your children, look at your parents, look at your loved ones and say, ask yourself, am I ready to consign them to a life of squalor, degradation, desperation, poverty, and violence? Or do I want to give them hope and opportunity? Even if I don't mind treading water up to my neck in a latrine, if I love the people that I say that I love, wouldn't I want better for them? None of this is fun. We come here today and we take our time to do this video again, only for one purpose, to come to you, to wake you up. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need to exist. In a perfect world, there wouldn't be a Progressive Empowerment Party, because the actual government that you voted into office September 2015 would have been doing their jobs. And I would have been following on the government that was voted in 2010. We would have had development in this country that kept pace with all the other developing countries in the world. We're not. We've been overtaken by Guyana, Grenada, Dominica, Jamaica. Trinidad and Tobago used to be the dragon of the Caribbean, one of the tigers. We are pussycat with mange.
Come on.
I was getting too serious.
That was good.
Yeah? But seriously, and I mean seriously, come on. Come on. Your shoes and socks wet from flood, and you can't wash your foot when you go home because your tap's dry. Come on! Come on! Mama, come on! Come on!
Real deep.
When you get paid at the end of the month, you go in the grocery, you show the cashier, and she commiserate with you. What you gonna buy? You're looking at trying to find ways to wash Pampers. Come on! Trinidad and Tobago, it doesn't have to be this dark, this dismal and gloomy. Every single problem could be solved. And I want to tell you this. I do not have as much degrees as Kamala and Keith. So by every stretch of every imagination, they should be able to annihilate me in a debate. How about we have a debate? How about we have a national conversation? And you insist. You tell them, I want to see you on national TV. Beat the crap out of Phillip. Encourage them. Set them on this fool's errand. Let us get all the leaders of all the political parties in front of the electorate, the way it is done in first world and developed countries. And let us take the pip and the shit kicking out of politics and get back to politics of policy and debate issues that will make a difference in the lives of our people. Trinidad and Tobago, we are the Titanic after we've hit the iceberg. We are going to sink. Our captains are lying to us. They are telling you that everything is okay. They have waited for 4 years and had you suffering for 4 years and hold back money to now go and open community center and open road and unveil things they were building. But what happened with the 4 years before? And what happened to the 100,000 people who've lost their jobs? Will you suddenly be sucked into URP and CPEP and OJT and other make-work projects that will dry up like 5-cent shave ice in hot sun after the election? Are you going to allow yourself to be fooled again like we've been fooled for 57 years? A better country is within our grasp, at the tip of our finger, our voting finger. If you want a better Trinidad and Tobago, then stand up and say, yes, damn it, I am going to join the Progressive Empowerment Party. They are open this Saturday at noon at 19 Stanmore Avenue. Come out in your numbers, sign up, join up, and let's fix this country. Until the next episode of Plain Talk or wherever else you interact with us, the members of the Progressive Empowerment Party, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.